information session. As a reminder for everybody here, you will be receiving an email at the end of this presentation with all of the information included today in the PowerPoint. Additionally, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask of our presenters today, please feel free to use the Q&A box at your screen. What we'll be doing is actually answering those questions live throughout written, and if we have some of them, we will also answer them verbally at the end of the presentation. Again, this is the August 2021 SBIF District Rollout presentation. And if you need this information translated into Spanish, please reach out to Summer Corps and we will be happy to provide that for you. Si necesitas esta información en español, llama a Summer Corps. We'll give everybody about 30 more seconds to join the call and then we'll get started.
And Kim, we're live on YouTube. I think you can go ahead.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Kevin. Again, hi, everybody. My name is Kim Brisky. I am the Managing Director for Communications at Summer Corps. We are the project administrator for the SBIF grant program on behalf of the City of Chicago. As a reminder today, everybody on this call will receive an email with this presentation afterwards. And if you have questions throughout, feel free to use the Q&A panel. And with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Lilia with DPD to give an introduction to this program. Lilia, thanks so much.
Thank you, Kim. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our August 5th Rollout webinar. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Ligia Ibarez, and I'm a project coordinator with the Small Business Advocacy Division in the Department of Planning and Development. I'm joined today by my DPD colleague, Fareed Mohammed, and the staff from our program administrator, Summer Corps. As Kim mentioned, Summer Corps is contracted by DPD to run the SBIF program. And as you will see through this presentation, they are a wealth of information and have a great impact on assisting our city's small business community. To everyone that is joining us today, thank you for the great work that you do as small business owners day in and day out. It is the small businesses that make Chicago second to none. And we are grateful for the time and investment you have put into not only your business, but the communities you serve. Our team is excited to share the new improvements to the SBIF program under Mayor Lightfoot and Commissioner Cox. And we believe the new additions and changes will result in great things for you, your community, and your business. It is exciting to see that this year to date, we are already over halfway through our target SBIF rollouts and have allocated over $35 million in SBIF funding to help small businesses and property owners make changes to their properties. We look forward to learning more about your dreams and project ideas through our application process and encourage you to work with your local community stakeholder groups and delegate agencies. Our office works closely with many of these groups, and we are impressed with how they continue to step up and advocate for their communities and their businesses. We encourage you to get to know their staffs, join their email list for updates, and attend any webinars or networking events they may have. If you need assistance in getting in touch with your local group, please let someone on our team know, and we'll be more than happy to make that introduction. Additionally, please continue to use our office as a resource if we can be of any assistance to your business. Our team is happy to discuss any concerns you may have or challenges you are facing and see how we can best serve you. With that, I will now turn it over to Sylvia. Thank you all again for being here today.
Hi, Ligia. Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining us today. Again, my name is Sylvia Orozco. I am the program director for the Small Business Improvement Fund program. I've worked on the SBIF program for over 15 years, and I've assisted hundreds of business owners, landlords, and tenants in providing grants for their businesses. Again, Summer Corps is a non-for-profit. We do administer the SBIF program, the NOF Opportunity Fund, the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund program, as well as the provide the small business lender. We are an SBA 504 lender as well. So now in its 21st year, SBIF is one of the longest running and most successful city programs. We've helped retain and expand businesses in nearly every neighborhood of the city of Chicago. We've dispersed over $100 million in grants, but please be advised that this is a non-residential program and it cannot be used for capital, cannot be used for operating expenses. It is strictly just for infrastructure repairs. So with that being said, thank you again very much for joining us, and we'll go ahead and get started with today's presentation. Okay, so today we will discuss what our program mission is, What are the grant parameters? Is your business or property within a SBIF district? What districts are open or on deck? What are the SBIF program rules? How do you apply? What is the program timeline? And what resources are available to help? We'll also provide the list of districts that are open for August, go over the SBIF facts, and additional question and answer session at the very end. Launched in 1999, the SBIF program promotes economic development by providing small businesses and landlords with reimbursable grants for permanent building improvement costs. Residential projects are not eligible. SBIF uses local tax increment financing revenue to reimburse grantees for pre-approved repair or rehab of their business facilities or adjacent land acquisition. Summer Court is the program administrator. We are contracted by the City of Chicago's Department of Planning and Development to administer the program. So now I would like to introduce to you Daniel Platt, owner of Platt Luggage Incorporated. He is the previous SBIF recipient, and he is actually applying for this new round of funding as well. Daniel, would you like to say a few words about your experience with the SBIF program?
Yes, thanks, Sylvia. So I'll give you a brief overview of my company and of how we've taken advantage of the SBIF program a couple of times in the past. So we are a manufacturing company. We're Platt Luggage, also known as Platt Cases. We are manufacturer of protective cases that can be used to protect tools, equipment, all types of sensitive goods. We are also a large foam fabricator and a distributor of Pelican protective cases as well. This is actually our 100th anniversary this year. We were founded in 1921 by my great-grandfather. So I am the 4th generation of the Platt family to own and operate the business. We're located at 63rd and Pulaski. We're actually 51st and Pulaski, but we're in the 63rd Pulaski TIF area. As far as the SBIF goes, we've gotten funding from SBIF twice. Once in 2016, and then more recently in 2018/2019. So just as far as, I know Sylvia is going to go over this in much more detail, the process as far as paperwork and what you need to do, it's really nothing that onerous. Some of the paperwork is actually what I would consider to be best practices, as far as making sure that you get all the right permits, making sure that you get 2 bids for whatever project you're working on. Those are kind of, those are good business practices anyway. And then also just making sure that you and your business are legit, more or less. So there's some paperwork to do, but I wouldn't say that it was really that heavy. As far as what projects we worked on, so we worked on a couple of projects. So across both of those times we got funding, we worked on our roof. We're still only about 30% of our roof is done. We got a pretty large facility here. So in our next round of applications, we're hoping to finish off the roof. We moved into this building about 25 years ago. And so things like the roof and other parts that we've worked on, our HVAC system was another thing that we got some funding for. They just were getting old and it was time to replace them. And, those are things that are not really, they're not optional. They're not, they might not be so sexy as far as the aesthetics go, but, if you don't have a roof, you don't really have a building. So SBIF has been a really big help to get our business ready for the next 25 years. And it's helped us maintain our employee base, maintain our business, and keep the roof over our heads, quite literally, so we can keep people in Archer Heights employed and keep our business open and functional for a lot longer. So thank you guys, and thank you to Sylvia and to the whole Summer Court team.
Thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate it. So we'll proceed with today's presentation, going over the grant parameters. Who can qualify, who is eligible for the program? So first off, your property must be located within a TIF district where SBIF funds are available, and also the SBIF is authorized to accept applications. If you are a landlord of a commercial or industrial property, you'd be eligible for the program. business owners of commercial or industrial, or those who own or lease their places of business qualify as well. Tenants with prior written approval from property owners and startups may apply with the business plan. And business owners must have a current City of Chicago business license. So eligibility limits. For commercial tenants or owner occupied, you must have on average $9 million or less in gross sales per year in order to qualify. Landlord of commercial or industrial businesses must have less than $9 million cumulative between all owners, and liquidity cannot exceed $500,000 per individual. If it's an industrial tenant or owner occupied business, the industrial business itself would have to have 200 or fewer full-time employees in order to be considered a small business and eligible for the SBIF program. So all owners that are owner occupied, they are subject to both the tenant and the landlord requirements. Tenant maximum grant amount allowed under SBIF is $250,000 maximum per industrial property. $150,000 is the maximum for a single owner or tenant commercial property or a landlord also. $250,000 is the max that could be granted for a multi-tenant property, whether it's the owner or the tenant that applies. They would each be limited to $75,000 maximum assistance. So any applicants may receive one or more grants up to their maximum program assistance. So once the max is reached, the applicants will need to wait 3 years in order to reapply. So the percentage of reimbursement can go depending on whether your sales or net worth falls within a certain category. So if it falls between $0 and $3 million, you would qualify for 90% reimbursement. $3 to $6 million, you'd qualify for 60% reimbursements. And if it falls between $6 to $9 million, you would qualify for 30% reimbursements. And all industrial properties, landlords or business owners would qualify for 50% of eligible cost if the landlord is deemed eligible. So here we have a SBIF grant calculation example. So let's say Grace submits an application for a SBIF grant that's in an open district and it has a total eligible project cost of $100,000. If she's proposing to make building improvements to her existing retail shop for which she is the tenant, Grace has been in business for over 5 years. So within the last 3 years, her gross sales averaged $1.5 million. So here we have a breakout of eligible costs. So let's say the total eligible project costs are at $100,000. So the commercial tenant applicant herself falls under the $3 million cap, which means she'd be eligible for a 90% reimbursement. So the city's responsibility would be 90% at $90,000, and the applicant's responsibility would be at 10% at $10,000. Is your business or property in a SBIF district? So in order to determine whether or not your property will qualify, you can visit summercore.com/SBIF to see if your property is within a SBIF district. So once you get to this website here, you can click on number 1 to confirm your business is in a SBIF district. And this is going to take you to the City of Chicago's zoning website, or it'll connect you with the City of Chicago SBIF website. You can enter your address here, and then the information below will pop up, whether it's telling you that it's in a TIF district or not in a TIF district. So if it is in a TIF, it'll let you know the name of the TIF district and its anticipated open acceptance date. It also has a list of delegate agencies that are available to assist within your area. Which SBIF districts are open or on deck? So once you check the address, it'll let you know what TIF district your property is located in. You can then check our calendar. So eligible SBIF districts in Chicago span everywhere from the north side, south side, and west side. So every month marks a new 30-day open acceptance period where people can submit their applications for the authorized districts. So notice of district openings are provided with the relevant alderman. They're posted on DPD and SummerCore's website and also included in the SBIF grant. So you can sign up for the SBIF grant, on our website also. What are the SBIF program rules? So what businesses and organizations are eligible and ineligible to apply? So these types of businesses are not eligible to apply. Chains and franchise businesses, bank branches, bars, liquor stores, nightclubs, places of worship, junkyards, similar businesses. It's not all inclusive. So if you're not sure whether or not your business qualifies, you can always reach out directly to us and we'll let you know. What improvement costs are eligible for SBIF funding? So we can cover permanent building improvements such as roofing and facade, components of signage or awnings which are permanently affixed to the building, any alterations or structure that are needed to accommodate ADA compliance customers, whether you're looking to add a ramp or railings, if you're looking to create ADA accessible restrooms, we can cover that sort of work, as well as HVAC and other mechanical systems, plumbing and electrical work. Certain project-related architectural and construction management fees can also be reimbursed. Certain environmental remediation measures, permanent interior renovations, including fixtures, the purchase of adjacent land parcels, for expansion or parking only. So it's not all a comprehensive list. So if there's something that you had in mind, you can always reach out to us and we'll let you know if we can cover it. So what improvement costs are not eligible for SBIF? We do not cover any new construction, whether it's an addition or expansion. We don't do standalone minor repairs or cosmetics. If you just want a fresh coat of paint, if you want new furniture, if you want to give it a nice modern look, those elements we cannot cover alone. Any equipment-related expenses, such as kitchen appliances, computers, office furniture, would be excluded. Planters that are surrounding or affixed to the building, no fencing, no parking lot construction or repair, landscaping, or work on residential interior units. So there are exceptions to the equipment-related expenses for commercial restaurants, where we can cover exhaust hoods, fire suppression systems, and walk-in coolers or freezers. What are the SBIF design requirements? So in order to receive funding, the projects must conform to the design requirements, including meeting DPD's design guidelines. The projects will also need to comply with design guidelines and additional neighborhood requirements as described in the guidelines. Community plans, the style guides, and other planning documents that are associated specifically with the TIF area and neighborhood of which the property is located in. The applicants are strongly advised to consult with Summer Corps and design professionals on design requirements and guidelines before drawing up plans for the work. We want to make sure that the work you're anticipating to complete is eligible. Applicants for commercial properties who are approved for a grant of $25,000 or greater shall be required to make at least one exterior improvement using at least 10% of the maximum amount of their grant. So it's including but not limited to facade repairs, windows and doors, other exterior improvements, basically to beautify the property, and they are subject to DPD's approval. This requirement can be waived by DPD sole discretion if the applicant can demonstrate that it's to their satisfaction. There's no exterior improvements that are needed because the property is in good shape. Either work has recently been completed or it's been well maintained and the city is happy with the way it looks now. What measures are in place to ensure the applicant's compliance with the program rules? We do check that all applicants, we do check to make sure that there is no debt to the city of Chicago. All applicants must be current on property taxes and must be in compliance with child support laws. Each applicant will have to sign an economic disclosure affidavit. The grantees will be required to sign an affidavit certifying that they will not relocate out of the TIF district or sell the business within a 3-year period following disbursements of funds. In cases of SBIF reimbursement for land purchase, the proof of ownership must be on file before we can reimburse any grant funds. How do you apply? You can download a web download an application from our website. You can submit that via email at sbif@summercore.com. It must be within the designated 30-day acceptance period. What is the SBIF program timeline? So once we start proceeding with the applications, stage 1 would be where the applicant has to supply any missing information to complete their application. So keep in mind that the initial 3-page application, that is the very first step, but there's supplemental documents that will need to be submitted to complete the actual application. So once you're deemed eligible, you will be moved into stage 2, where you'll have 120 days to submit your plans, bids, City of Chicago business license from the contractors, as well as their certificates of insurance. So note that stage 1 and 2 must be completed before we can present this to the city for approval. So once that's deemed eligible, you will be moved into stage 3. That is where your approval will be granted. So you'll have up to 10 months to complete the construction. And within those 10 months, 120 days upon approval, you will be required to submit the proof of financing. So we need to see that you have at least 50% of the contract price available to you in order to keep the application active. And once the project is fully complete, the reimbursement process usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks. So unless DPD has granted an extension of time, the applicants who do not complete each stage within the required phase time limit will be disqualified. A maximum of 2 extensions may be granted with DPD's approval in the case of unavoidable delays due to extraordinary circumstances only. DPD may also, on a case-by-case basis, grant an eligible application an additional amount of time to complete the program requirements. So in these cases, DPD has discretion to determine the appropriate length of extension. What is required to deem a project completed and receive funds? So once the construction is fully complete, you will need to provide SummerCore with the proof of payments that are required in order for us to submit for reimbursement, which include a sworn statement, invoices, canceled checks, and final waivers of lien. We will go out to do a site visit to confirm that the work has been completed. We would also ask for copies of your building permits, submit that to the city, and once the city receives it, it will take about 4 to 6 weeks for processing. So you can also visit our website to access additional resources to support your SBIF project. So we have design guidelines available for you, a list of SBIF lenders who are familiar with the program and who are willing to lend funds for construction projects. We have a list of contractors that have worked with some of our previous SBIF applicants, and also a list of technical assistance providers, as well as various other small business resources. You should also get to know your local delegate agency. Now, these organizations are assigned to assist small business owners in the SBIF districts that are opening in August of this year. So if you are not familiar with any of these organizations, please, keep their contact information. If you need assistance with submitting the applications, help with walking you through the entire process, please feel free to reach out. They are familiar with the SBIF program and they are ready to help. Here we have a list of the SBIF districts that will be opening for the month of August. So these include 47th in Ashland, 63rd in Pulaski, Belmont and Cicero, Division in Holman, Fullerton in Milwaukee, and West Irving Park. So we are currently accepting the applications through August 31st at 5 p.m. That is a strict deadline, so you can submit your application via email at sbif@summercore.com. And here we have a sample project that was done out in Fullerton and Milwaukee, Pollen Inc. at 2918 North Milwaukee Avenue. So here we have a complete storefront renovation before and after. So Pollen Inc.'s work summary included masonry repairs at the facade, Furnished and installed the new storefront frames, glass, and doors. Also constructed the interior walls between the storefront and the entryway, and also removed the existing roofing system, as well as furnished and installed accent lighting for the facade and the new power outlets that were necessary. So what additional documents should you have on hand along to submit with the SBIF application? So initially, you only need the first 3 pages of the application. These forms here are requested, but they will vary depending on the applicant type. So if you see some of these items here, you know that you and your organization have these already. Just keep them handy. Once we proceed with your application, we'll be able to send out a list to you according to your applicant type and select certain documentation that's needed specifically for your project. What are the financial requirements to participate in SBIF? So the SBIF program is a reimbursable grant. So project participants should be prepared with financing to support the permanent building improvements. Proof of financing is not required until the 3rd stage, but applicants are encouraged to contact their business lender or reach out to one of the lenders that are listed on our website in a timely manner. Grantees may choose to receive their grant funds through an escrow account. DPD at its sole discretion may authorize up to 3 draws of funding from the escrow account to reimburse an applicant as work is completed on a project. Any funds that are associated with the use of an escrow account will be taken out of the grant award. Are startup businesses or new businesses eligible? Yes, startups can apply. Startup applicants will need to supply a detailed business plan, projections of the business's income and expenses for its first 36 months of operation as part of their application materials. Please note that the City of Chicago does reserve the right to impose additional conditions for funding in connection with startup business applications. So if you've only been in business for 1 or 2 years, Summary Court requires tax returns and projection of gross sales to equal 3 years of data. Are you eligible if you live outside of the City of Chicago? So the important consideration here is where your business or property is located. To participate in the SBIF, your property must be in the City of Chicago within a specific TIF district, as funding sources come from the City of Chicago's property taxes. So if you live in another area, you can call your city's planning, economic development, or community development department to see what programs may be available to assist other small businesses such as yourself. What if your business has, what if your building has both business and residential spaces? So this program is primarily for business use, but there are mixed use exceptions. For these buildings, many envelope projects such as the roofing, facade improvements, and tuck pointing can be eligible, as well as the interior of the commercial space, but any common areas or residential work will be excluded. Will there be enough SBIF funds for all applicants? Each TIF district that the SBIF program has is authorized. It does have limited funding reserved for the program. So if the demand for the SBIF funds is greater than the available funding supply, then we conduct a lottery. A lottery is just a randomized draw order that we do to determine in which order we will actually start processing the applications. So if any surplus funds become available, they will be allocated to the waitlisted applicants. And the applicants for a property that's located in the Invest Southwest corridor shall be given priority for funding in the lottery. So applicants for a property that's located in a target corridor shall be second in priority for the funding for the lottery as well. And any remaining applicants shall be provided funding if available and placed on the wait list if there isn't sufficient enough funding to cover all the applications. Is there SBIF funding available in my district? Every SBIF area has its own budget and the city refills it if it has TIF funds available and if there is a demonstrated need for more grant money. So you can always email Summer Core team at sbif@summercore.com to see if there are any funds in your area. We also maintain an interested parties list for funds. So which you can also send an email for email to the SBIF department to actually join that list. You can also sign up for that on our website as well. So when more funding becomes available, or if the city allocates additional funds, we will let you know. So the interested parties list actually helps the city of Chicago gauge demand for additional funding. What if I'm in a TIF and it's not in a SBIF? Tax increment financing is the mechanism that funds the SBIF program. So if you are in a TIF district that does not have a SBIF, please contact your alderman. Here we have our contact information. I do speak Spanish. Para la gente que habla español, yo también hablo español y tenemos a otra persona también, Elibeth, que habla español. Si tienen algunas preguntas, nos podrían llamar directamente a nosotros. Y también si quiere la presentación en español, nos puede llamar o mandar un correo electrónico para pedir esta información. So a copy of the presentation and a link to the video will be emailed to all attendees. Thank you very much again for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. I really appreciate it. Again, just a reminder to anyone, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A box and we'll run through those now. Sylvia, I did just want to start off by saying we know that the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund is about to open shortly for its next round of funding. Can you talk about if a small business owner can access funds from both programs?
So unfortunately, they cannot access funds from both programs at the same time. We can accept an application, but at a certain point, they would have to decide what program they actually want to proceed with. So, you'd have to pick either NOF or SBIF. NOF is more of a competitive grant. There's a selection process for it, so it may be a little bit more difficult to obtain than SBIF, but they cannot go through with both programs at the same time.
Great. And actually, as the question of competitive versus non-competitive for SBIF, do applicants get prioritized based on when they file during the application period? I know we talked a little bit about the lottery, but does your timing of when you apply, does that impact that?
Not at all. You can send it over the very first day or the very last day. Either way, it will not impact you at all. Once we do the randomized draw order, the date is not, determining anything at that point.
Great. Another question is, at this point, let's say that we have a project had already started work on something and then all of a sudden SBIF funding opened in their district. Would they be able to use those funds to help pay for that work that's already been completed?
Unfortunately not. Once the work is already complete, we cannot retroactively pay out any grants. If there's something that still needs to be completed and you can hold off on starting that work, then we may consider that. Let's say the HVAC system is not yet completed, that's something that we could consider. It all depends on the timing, but once the project is started, we cannot proceed with any reimbursements or approval for that portion.
Okay, appreciate it. So I have a question specific about a mixed use property. So for a mixed use property where the majority is commercial square footage, is it possible to request funds for roof and masonry repair, even though those components cover both commercial and residential parts of the building?
We may be able to cover it. It all depends on the property itself. So if there's a section of the property that's strictly all let's say residential on the back end, so we couldn't cover the roof for that section, but if the roof covers the entire commercial and there's a level that has residential within that, then we could cover both the facade of the building. We may be able to cover the tuck pointing as well and the roofing too.
Great. Another question is, if a small business expands a building into an adjacent property, can you apply and get two SBIF grant fundings if there are two separate businesses?
You cannot. If you own both properties, it would be considered a contiguous property in which the city will determine that to be one property. So you'd be eligible, let's say for, if you're a commercial business, you'd be eligible for $150,000 for both properties. So then you can decide what you want to prioritize and what you want to use the funding for, but you cannot have two separate SBIF grants and two adjacent properties of which you currently own.
Another question we had was, let's say a tenant and applicant have a good working relationship and both are going to apply for funds, same property, but different uses. Is that allowed? The landlord would want building repairs while the tenants want to do a more internal improvements for the business. Could you both apply?
So if it is a multi-tenant building, yes, both can apply. So in that situation, the landlord can get up to 75,000 and also the tenant can get up to 75,000. So if that's the case, just, keep in mind that you will be limited on funding.
Great. Just a few more. We had somebody who said they're in the process of buying a property that is located in a SBIF area that's open this month, and they're hoping to close shortly. Is it all right for them to apply now, even though they actually don't have a deed to the property or a lease in place at the moment?
As long as you have a executed sales contract, you can submit an application, but the property will need to be closed on and we will need to have a proof of ownership in the form of either a deed or title insurance within 20 days of when we begin to process your application.
Okay, and then I would just want to close out with the question I always like to make sure we bring up is, what are some of the common pitfalls or stumbling blocks that you see from applicants, things that could really help move their process along if they are able to avoid or do certain things?
I would say planning and securing your financing. So planning is a big thing. If you're looking to do a big major renovation, take a look at our design guidelines, speak with the summer core project managers, let them know what it is that you're looking to do. We'll let you know if it's something that we can cover or not. That way you know where to start, what you can and can't do, so that you can start with your architectural drawings and also give sufficient enough time for your contractors to provide proper bidding documentation that will be needed. So another thing would be making sure that you apply for your permits in a timely manner, as well as secure your financing. So, what a lot of people do is they use that conditional commitment letter, which is the approval letter, take that to the lender, let them know that you're participating in this program, and we can sign a bank assignment that allows us to give the grant proceeds directly to the lender to pay off a portion of their loan. So the lending process can be time consuming. So that's one thing that I would like all applicants to start with that as soon as possible.
Great. So I guess to wrap up here, as a reminder, everybody who's participating in this call today will get an email follow-up with a copy of this presentation. Again, we have a strict deadline in terms of applications for the month of August. So we need to receive the applications by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the 31st, to be eligible. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to visit our website. I will pull that screen up right now, or give us a call and we're able to assist. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending today.
Thank you.